When starting a drawing, it is best to begin with very light lines to plot out the skeleton of the drawing. At this stage, it is very easy to make corrections to the form and perspective of the scene. Another advantage, it is very seldom necessary to erase these lines, as they virtually disappear when darker lines and areas are applied over them. I normally begin with a 2H graphite pencil. The first lines applied are not necessarily the final lines. They are the exploratory ones. They can be adjusted to suit when necessary. The iris is the most important part of the drawing. In this drawing, we are looking at the eye straight on, so we must ensure the iris is a complete circle. For a 3/4 facial view, the iris becomes elliptical in shape. Notice how the top half of the iris disappears behind the top eyelid. Always draw the initial iris as a full circle in the beginning, even if the eyelids cover some sections of it. This ensures the correct shape of the iris. The iris is slightly elliptical, but I will correct that later on in the drawing. Now that I'm satisfied with the initial lines, I can firm up the ones I feel are the correct ones. The secret here is the careful shading and the highlights on the eyeball. The highlights are a direct result of the moisture content on the surface of the eyeball. Once there's no more life in the body, the moisture on the eyeballs evaporate, and as a result the highlights also disappear. Correct highlights are essential for the illusion of a living being. While I'm on the subject of highlights, I have some important information. Where no flashlights or studio lights have been used, the highlights are totally different. This photograph was taken indoors with natural lighting, near a window. Outdoors, the sky will be reflected off the eyeball. With flash and studio lighting, the highlights will be seen as small round spots. 2 or 3 highlight spots are a dead giveaway that the photo was taken in a studio with several spotlights. This is a studio photograph using a main light and a side filler light. The main light is from the right side, so I will remove the highlights on the left side of the eye. Once they are removed, there is a much more natural look to the final photograph. The whites of the eyes are very seldom pure white. They differ between people as well as different ethnicities. Some show many small veins, whereas in others they are hardly seen at all. Because of the rounding of the corners of the eye, it will be slightly darker because of the shadows. Shade them very lightly and work in a circular motion. Because the main light is from the left in the photograph, the right corner will be more in shadow. The top eyelid also throws its shadow onto the eye. The moment you add this shadow, you have the illusion of the eyeball set deeper in than the outer skin. Before coming back to the eye, I'm now ready to flesh out all the tonal values and details surrounding the eye. Work very lightly at first using the flat side of a 2H pencil. Holding the pencil near the end will prevent you from pressing too hard onto the paper. Always work with a circular motion, as this prevents unnecessary streak marks. Don't forget to leave the reflected area on top of the eyelid where the light has hit it, and it's also close to the highlight area on the eye. Now that the eyelid is finished, we can concentrate on the surrounding skin areas. The best method of doing this is by gradually building up layer upon layer. There's a lot of subtle shading going on here. Notice the few very subtle folds on the actual eyelid itself. Don't overdo them, just enough to make them visible. I'm using a clean sheet of paper under my hand to keep the drawing clean. Now whenever I change a pencil grade, I will indicate it on the upper edge of the sheet of paper. This should help you quite a lot. Just as a matter of interest, this video has been speeded up twice the normal drawing time. The actual drawing time was 1 hour and 8 minutes. From now onward, I will be using mostly the softer or darker grades of pencil to build up the contrast needed to enhance the drawing further. I'm using a Tombow mono eraser to subtly lift out areas, and I also have a large soft squirrel hair brush to wipe away any loose rubbings. Never try to blow them away. Any accidental moisture will ruin all your hard work. Wiping with a hand will also give you the same result. Time now to draw in the eyelashes. I'm using a sharp-pointed F-grade pencil. This is a grade between the H and the HB pencils. The lashes on the lower lids are much smaller than the upper lid. I flick each lash out from the base outwards to give me the thinning at the outer end. They are all unevenly spaced. Don't draw them in as if they are soldiers in a row. The upper eyelashes are just larger versions of those on the lower lid. Once all the lashes have been drawn, you can go over them again with a darker pencil and thicken some of them up. Blend them in at the base. I want the thickness of the lower lid to be easily seen, so I darken up the corner of the eyeball slightly. Using the 2H pencil, I work some more on the skin tones and add the start of the eyebrows. The putty rubber, or kneaded eraser as it is often called, comes in very handy when lifting out small areas. Tapping can bring out the skin textures and also finalizing all the subtle highlights on the skin and in the eye.